Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for investing your time with us on this Thursday afternoon. My name is Agustin, and I am the Program Manager for Block 71 Indonesia and US Enterprise. Today, we have an amazing panel. We'll be talking about how Indonesia is tackling its tech talent crunch. But before we deep dive into the panel discussion, I would like to take a few moments for each of the panelists to briefly introduce themselves and tell a little bit about their background and the industries. Ferdinand, please.
Okay, thanks for having me, Agustin. It's a great opportunity to be able to share. So I'm from Activate, and currently I'm working as the COO at Activate. I've been working with Activate for about 2.5 years. So before Activate, I was working as a consultant for about a year. And I think I've been enjoying this industry for a while because education is pretty important. I think I did my master in Sweden. What I observed there, like education is pretty much free for everybody. And I think the thing that makes a difference between a successful person and the unsuccessful person is basically opportunity, right? So yeah,
Right.
I love what Hacktivate is doing. They're helping people without any coding background to be able to try, and well, eventually, if they are successful, they can take up the job as a software engineer or front-end engineer. So yeah, that's what we're doing at Activate. We're helping the no background people to be able to be a junior software developer.
Got it. Thank you, Ferdinand.
You're welcome.
Derek?
Cool. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Derek. I'm the colleague of Glints Academy. And just a quick introduction about Glints. Glints is a seriously career platform in Indonesia. The reason that the academy exists is that we observe there's a lot of challenges in getting employers attending needs. And based on that insight, Glints decided to work in the education field. And that's how Glints Academy was born 3 years ago. A little bit about myself is that I started to working on this employment area 6 years ago. My first venture was in Africa, supporting Tanzania students to get jobs. That was my first social enterprise there. And after that, I went to the US to study for MA in education to understand the role education can play in employment. And yeah, this is basically my background in this industry. And now I'm really excited to see there's so many opportunities in Indonesia. Hopefully, what we can do is to make sure that all the right people have the right opportunity so that they can realize their human potential. That's why we exist.
Thank you so much both for the introduction. Maybe let's start into the questions that I had. According to the Minister of Research and Technology, Indonesia will need about 600,000 digital talent entering the labor force every year to support our digital economy that is growing and worth 124 billion by 2025. And yet, we're only producing about 300 IT engineers out of every 1 million citizen. As compared to Malaysia or Singapore or India, they produce way more, 1,000 IT engineers every year. So this will impeach the tech talent deficit and can hamper the growth of the digital industry here. Local university and coding school like yourself are the pillar of tech talent in education. So what do you do or run to plug this Indonesian tech talent shortage and to solve this alarming talent crunch?
Cool.
Maybe Ferdinand, you can go first. Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Oh, shall I go first? Sorry, Fernanda. I think there's a lack here. Cool. Yeah. Definitely, the talent deficit is happening, and that's why Glints as a employment industry want to focus not only on the recruitment side, but also on the training side. I would say the most important things we need to realize that employers need to play a critical role in this area. Employers is the missing piece of puzzle. So I think right now, what we've been trying to do is to work closely with the employers to design the training program. One, for instance, starting from assessment, we do want to understand what they actually need, and based on the understanding, we want to design a specific training program for them. And one of the initiatives we're trying to work on is work with some insurance company understand the specific needs from all the way from the assessment process to the way that we actually monitor the project-based learning, to the way that we actually give approval to the student, they pass the assessment, and then they will be ready for the work at the company. So we say that one of the key areas that we try to do now is to think, okay, how can we get employers involved in this? And one way to do that is to have a strong collaboration with employers in terms of a hiring program. Yeah.
That makes sense. How about Derek? Ferdinand?
Yeah, I think I agree with Derek, and that's part of the thing that we're doing at Activate as well. I think the history of Activate, it was built by Ronald and Riza, and Ronald was like he was building startups, and he was facing this poaching between companies when the talent was like a little bit in shortage. So what we're doing at the moment, the thing that we have as a bootcamp, we can change curriculum as fast as we want compared with the university. So it's really important that we understand that what the partners really need. So we have a dedicated team working with the employers, like talking with them and try to get evaluations about our graduates, where did they perform, and then which part of them that needs development or further development. And at the same time, we have a regular meeting with our hiring partners, with the curriculum team. So we're trying to ensure that what we're teaching to the students are basically catching up with what the industry really needs. Although, like what I see is that the gap is still there. Like what Derek said, that employer is the missing puzzle here. And I think bootcamp and employer has to be like working together, because these students, to be able to reach a certain standard or certain competencies that the industry really needs, they need exposure to either projects or maybe work opportunities. I mean, education can provide you so much, but you also need exposure from the industry just to make sure that what they're getting is basically what the industry really needs. So yeah, we're trying to engage on that part with the employers as well.
I guess that's what Glints started as, right? When you guys started Glints, is for internship in tech industries for the students.
Yeah, that's like how we was born, like 7 years ago. I can't remember. I was not there yet.
Yeah, so that reminds me of the Glints story. Maybe you can tell a little bit how Glints started.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. At the very beginning, Glints was a Singapore company focused on the internship part. The reason why Oswald, our co-founder, has this idea is that we saw that a lot of like opportunity there, that like people are looking for growth opportunity, but they're not getting that. However, we say that was a little bit too advanced in a way that at that time, this saying that employers need to pay more work is not there yet. So it was very hard to build a sustainable business model there. So that's how Glints pivot into the young talent from like 20 years old to like 30 years old talent platform. But right now, I think there's a huge need for the talent because of the gap in the industry. So that's why, yeah, we think it's a good moment that, okay, we should retest it because the situation has changed. Like just imagine like 7 or 10 years ago, there's not a lot of like big company focusing on that. That was like mainly the second value. And now, like, yeah, it's now in Southeast Asia, so that's a great moment for us to like in this era. Yeah.
Okay, my next question is, I did read some reports that in Indonesia, only 20% of graduates aspire to be a software developer, right? But meanwhile, the top 5 emerging jobs for Indonesia are all evolving: back-end developer, Android developer, full stack developer, and data scientist, right? So my question to you is, how do we then attract undergraduates to become a computer or a software engineer?
Should I
Derek?
go first?
Ferdinand, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. I think it depends. Looking at Hacktivate, we don't specifically ask people to be a computer science graduate to be working as a programmer. Although, like, there are certain companies, which I met, they specifically believe that if you're coming from computer science background, then you will do even better, right? The problem that we have in Indonesia is like probably around 20% out of like certain number of computer science graduate really want to work. Take my brother as an example. He was a graduate from BINUS. And he ended up working in a different area because he said that he hated coding. So that's one of the example that I found. And I think it's more about like to make sure that computer science or programming is interesting for them, just to make sure that the career path, the opportunity, or like we can see that digital economy is increasing, right? I believe
Mhm.
like you probably have read the report released by Temasek and Google that every year, maybe later in 2025, the number will reach like hundreds of billions USD.
Yeah.
And that number will require a lot of like companies to be involved, meaning there will be a lot of talents required to be involved in the project or in the business as well, right? And if you don't catch up with the chances, then you're probably not going to be able to like involve at all in the industry. And that's a
Yeah.
more reason that we see that computer science or data science or programming skills are very necessary. Like even me, I was not graduated from a computer science. Like I was an industrial engineering graduate, but I feel the needs now that I need to learn about data science because like
Mhm.
it's very useful for decision making, for instance, right? Every time you make decisions, it's better if you like make sure that it's data informed or data driven. And I guess like to attract the people, it's not only attracting people to take computer science major. It's more about like making sure that they love the job afterwards when they finish the
Ah.
program, making sure that they enter the programming world. Could be a front end developer, it could be like maybe UI UX designer, right? So I guess like the perks coming from startups, the salary, maybe work-life balance, maybe, or maybe other perks that companies can offer, can make sure that they can see the importance, and probably they need to like put some stress on the point that when the digital economy is increasing, which is inevitable, sooner or later you have to embrace it. I mean, take a look at Gojek. At the beginning it was a lot of like resistance towards the program itself or the product, but eventually you got to adapt, right? Even
Yeah.
Bluebird, I
They have
believe
to
like
adapt.
exactly, yeah, they even invested at Gojek, right? So
Yes.
I guess like you cannot push back technology, you just need to adapt and embrace it and make sure that you ride the wave.
Yeah.
So you can stay, I would say you can stay relevant if you like keep like upgrade your skills or upskilling yourself. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I actually echo. Yeah, I would definitely echo on my Fernandez's opinion on the direction that I don't think it's about getting more people to getting a CS degree. Yeah, just to sharing, like I actually did physics before, and I actually picked up coding 5 years after I graduate, and I can do all this modeling in Python. I can do like random forest. So I would say that it doesn't like take a CS degree people to work on technical stuff. However, one thing that I realized is that a lot of people may not have the practical experience understanding what it means by technology. For
Mm.
example, like for CS degree students, they may focus on like the implementation of like sorting, algorithm, that kind of things.
Yeah.
However, I would say that to get young people to be interested in the area, I think that will require something more interesting. Like, how is that actually related to their world? Like, why would I know sorting? That's a little bit too far away from their mental model, right? So what I've been thinking about is like the problem is that people may not see the application of technology, even though they see
Mm.
Gojek and Grab. But actually, what should happen is that people should understand how they can contribute to those projects. For instance, some of these projects like let's say Gojek need to work on analysis on like how many people will go to a taxi. How can they predict that? This is a
Mm.
project that I would say can be handled by tertiary education students, even not in the CS degree. If there's a way for employer to create some internship experience or project-based learning, get them to understand, oh, if I learn this kind of like skill set, I can do a project like this. That's how I
Mm.
can change the society. I think that would be much more relevant than asking people that in their secondary school to decide whether to be a CS student. I think that would be very challenging. Yeah. So I think you see, like employees still key to the puzzle. I think it took a lot of effort for them to tell the world why they need more people in this area.
Yeah, got it. I mean, honestly speaking, my background is in biomedical engineer and I did study programming. So when I first started studying programming, assembly language and C++ language, I have no
Exactly.
idea what is the application in the real world. I really have no idea. But once you start working in a company and then you realize that actually you need the logic, when you do the programming, you have to be very detailed and you need to write all the history. If not, even one line of coding will mess up the whole programming, right? It cannot run, right? And you have to debug, right? So I thought that is a skill that you need, right? Not just the programming and knowing the code itself, right? It's the logical steps to do it. Right. Okay. My next questions, right? Just now we're talking about how can we recruit the undergraduates, right, to become a software engineer. Now let's take a look at the other way around. How companies can secure the best tech talent, right? Because in this talent short landscape, companies need to think beyond the traditional recruitment process to stay ahead of their competition, right? How can the company secure the best tech talent? Yeah. Ferdinand?
Yeah, thanks. So I think we before we go with the strategy, we need to understand like what are the employees are looking for. There are probably out there people who are looking for huge salary. There are people who are looking for experience. There are people who are looking for career path. There are people who are looking for culture or probably teamwork, right? And there are people who are looking for all of them. So ideally speaking, if you can provide all of them at once, that's probably the best approach to secure the best tech talent that you probably have. But I mean, we're speaking pragmatically or realistically. It's not easy to have everything on your hand. You probably don't have the salary that can compete with the unicorns, but you probably can create the opportunity for the potential employees or the tech talent that we when you work with us, you can create impacts. You can give back to the society by involving in the projects or products that we're building. You're actually making changes in the community, and that's well. I see that the young people nowadays they do concern about those stuffs. Sometimes my team are asking like, what are the visions for the next probably like 5 years, or what are the impact that I'm making? And when I like interview candidates, they often ask the same questions. So I think the generation currently or the productive workers that they're looking for job, they look for those things. It's not always about the perks that you will have a high salary. It's more about like, do I have a mentor there? Can I have the opportunity to grow there? Or how does my leaders, like, take for example, you probably know Norman Sassono, right? He's
Yeah.
the CTO at Dana, and these tech talents are looking forward to meet these guys. They look up to these people. I would say they're a tech celebrity. They often contribute to the community. We have one person like that, one of our co-founder, Riza, and he loves to share in the community. And he's a part of the Google Developer Circle. I see like these young people, when they see these people, when they meet these people, they kind of like get inspired. I want to be like this guy. And that's a more reason, oh, I want to join Dana. Why? Because Norman Zazono is there. And he's been like working on different projects. He's been speaking in several like community events. And it's not only like the depth of the technical skills, but it's more about like, yeah, it's more about the culture, about the exposure, about the community, about the engagement. If you can provide that, I think you can secure the best tech talent, or even
The best tech
retain the
talent.
one that you have, right? Making sure that
Yes.
they enjoy. It's like making sure that your employees, every time they get up, they feel happy. I want to go to work.
Got it.
Because yeah,
They got the vision, right, for them, right?
yeah.
Derek, how about yourself? What do you think the company should do, and what does Glint do to keep their own tech talent?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very. I think that is the $1 million question for most of the companies now. But I definitely agree with like Fernando, like the idea on focus on the soft parts. I can give you a bit more on the context here. So I think everyone agree talent war is a real thing, and you can see how LinkedIn is utilizing that. So how many recruiters are paying LinkedIn, right? That's a sign that people are looking for talent. And I would say that to understand this is that talent acquisition is a two-way process. Employer need to impress the candidate, while the candidate need to like pass the requirement of the employers. And so I would say that one advice for employers to start early, because as like I say, like you don't want to compete on salary. You can, but that may not be the easiest way to execute. So then the next question is what people look for in their job. Probably two things: culture fit, opportunity to growth. And these two things can only be fairly assessed if the student have an early exposure to your company. So again, I think there's a lot of things an employer can do here. It can be a community outreach, it can be internship program, it can be working with institute, it can be like partnering with like ITB, having a program like 4 weeks just to talk about how things are in the industry.
Yeah.
These things are critical because it's a two-way process. You need to like convince an candidate they want to join you because of your culture, and the best way to assess culture is to spend time with you. So I would say that like the easiest, the cheapest way and the most efficient way is not to focus on the money. I think most people regret if you just pay people and the salary is so high that people cannot resist the offer. It's very easy they will be gone very soon. The key part is to impress people with your own culture by spending actual time with them. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, one final question from me. Give us one thing that you hope that the audience take away from this conversation. Ferdinand?
I think for the audience, from the employee's point of view, I think it's the time for you to take this opportunity. We're still like growing, so I think it's better to start early before like everything is going big, and then well, I'll say the market will be saturated. It's kind of like too late. And for the employers, I think yeah, setting up your culture, making sure that your branding is there, like doing all sort of activities and making sure that people can recognize your culture in whatever form it is. Just do it now. You know, like Derek said, if you're offering salary, it's good. But if someone offer even larger, they're probably just gonna take the larger one if they don't feel the attachment with the company. So yeah, I guess
Okay.
like this is the time.
Derek, your final one
Cool.
thing?
Yeah, I think I would say that my one message I want to send to import is that like there's a lot of things we can do together with like the education institute with the candidate in a way that we work together to find a way to attract the right talent, give them the right training, impress them with your culture. Yeah, I mean, Edutech also do the same. Academy do the same. We always have this program for employers. We want to work with you together to solve this problem together. So I would definitely invite all the employers. If you have some talent problems, reach out to us. Happy to talk with you more and see how we can work together on this. Yeah.
That's all the time that we have for today. And thank you, Ferdinand and Derek, for being with us. And thank you to the audience for zooming in. And I see you on the next i360 event.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.